Welcome to today's presentation for the tax savings team. I'm Larry Weinstein, CPA, and I'm going to do a presentation based upon a suggestion by Jake because he had some people that have been asking him questions about video. And I've been doing video for a while. I had stopped and I started again. I've got there's a harder way, there's an easier way, then there's an easiest way. But I'm going to kind of tell you all I know about it. And for me, it's still a work in process, but at the end of the day, I'll tell you everything I know. And for those of you that are live, you can ask any questions of me that you want, and I'll be glad to answer it. So that's one of the benefits of being live. I guess before we begin, I had a wise man once, my CPA told me that if I took pictures of my family, I included it in presentations, I could write off all my expensive camera equipment. So anyway, there's myself and my wife and my two lovely daughters adopted from China. Jennifer just graduated from college. On the left, she's 22 and Melanie is 19. She's in her first year of college. So now I can write off my camera equipment, right, Jake? Thank you. Anyway, so we're asked the question first, why video? Let's go through a little bit of statistics and make the case for video. And I got this, I'll show you down below where I got this source. There's all kinds of resources as it relates to statistics, but 85% of the internet audience watches videos online. YouTube has over 1 billion users, and that's about 1/3 of the total internet users. There's more than 500 million hours of videos that are watched every day on YouTube. More content's uploaded in 30 days than major networks have created in like the last 30 years. So it's a big deal. Here's the thing that's also interesting. Half of the video content is viewed on mobile devices now. That's a big deal. People are watching it on their phones. 92% of the mobile viewers share the video with others. And the source there, and you can copy this all later, but that's where I got my statistics. There's all kinds of statistics out there, but video is a big thing. The reason that I do video is it's easy content creation. For me, as you'll see later on, the way that I'm doing it, it's really very easy. I push a button, I speak for 2 or 3 minutes, and I stop the recording, and then I go on to the next one. It's a whole lot easier for me anyway to speak for about 2 minutes as it is to write an article. That takes a long time. Not that I'm not going to get blog posts and articles out of my content. I'll talk about that. It helps you video builds up the expert authority status. You share your knowledge with others. They see you. They get to find out that you really do know what you're talking about. It also builds up what the KLT, the know, like, and trust factor. When people see you and they can follow you on videos on your website, on YouTube, on Facebook, they see your videos, they watch you. They feel like they know you, so that when they come in the office, they feel like they're friends of yours already, and you've never met them before. So before the prospective client even meets you, they know you. And the other thing about videos is if you're posting it up everywhere, you kind of have omnipresence. You're everywhere. As a matter of fact, I had a client that I just obtained on LinkedIn, and he basically made the comment, everywhere I turned, your videos on LinkedIn were there. And you know, you were everywhere. So I was like, yes, I am. I absolutely am. So that's a good thing to have. When you make these videos, you own them, and you can post them on your own website. You can post them up to YouTube. You can post them to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm not doing anything personally with Instagram and Twitter. Most of my stuff is going to be on my website, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So that's kind of why video. Let's talk about the elements of a good video. The video is the first impression that you make with your prospective clients, okay? So you want to make sure that it's professionally produced and it's a good quality product. You don't want it to look really cheesy, because that's what people are going to think about you. You want them to think, you know, kind of highly of you, think well of you. The elements of a good video. I think you need to have, in some way, shape, or form, whatever the recording device or camera, video camera, you have to have a decent one so that your image is not grainy. It's well composed. Well composed means that you're pretty much in the center You're not on the left or the right, although maybe you want to do that. I mean, there might be a purpose for that, but generally speaking, you want to be in the middle, okay? Also, in terms of well composed, you know, you don't want the top of your head getting cut off, okay? That's usually not considered good form in photography or video. So you want to be centered in the screen and that there's headroom on top, so you're not getting cut off. You want it to be well exposed. You don't want it to be too dark, and you don't want it to be too light, okay? You want it to be stable, generally speaking. You don't want to have a shaky picture. So those are some of the elements. The lighting, you need to be well lit. That's why I talk about well exposed. You want it to be well lit, what we would call in photography, even lighting, okay? You don't want any objectionable shadows. So if you're shooting against a wall, you probably want to step away from the wall so there's not a big shadow that would be, we would call it objectionable or distracting. You also don't want your videos to be too contrasty. You want them to be what we call a low ratio. Contrasty would mean one side of your face is really well lit and the other side of your face is really dark. I don't know if anybody can remember, if you're old enough, one of the first albums from the Beatles was called Meet the Beatles, okay? One side of the face was well lit, the other face was in shadow. You almost couldn't see anything, you could barely see their eyes. That's too contrasty. For what we're doing, we want it to be well lit. Sound is important. You want the sound to be clear. You don't want it to be hollowed or muffled. Preferably, there's not any background noise. You don't want to have cars going by. You don't want to have children coming in and asking for you, daddy this, daddy that, or maybe dogs barking. At the end of the day, you want the sound to be clear, hopefully like you're hearing my voice today. You want the background not to be cluttered, okay? If you've got a cluttered office, mine's a little bit cluttered, you kind of clear it out a little bit. So the background's not cluttered. Content. The content's kind of up to you. The content that you're going to talk about is you're going to speak on your subject matter. For those of us on the call today that are on the tax savings team, I would suggest our topic is tax, how taxes work, tax savings, tax strategy. So we're going to speak about our subject matter. That's the content. Now, there's 3 ways of video production. I would call them the hard way, the easy way, which is my preferential way, and the really easy way. Let's start first by talking about the hard way. The hard way is what I used to do. It's a little bit harder to set up and take down, and to basically get all your lighting just the way it's supposed to be, to get yourself framed up so that you're, remember we talked about composed, make sure that your microphone is working. When I was doing it the hard way, and it probably takes about $1,000 to do it right. To set it up took about 30 minutes. That means that if you're going to do it this way, and I'm not saying you can't do it, it's just not my preferred method right now. Who knows? I might go back to doing it that way. But it takes 30 minutes to set it up. It takes 30 minutes to tear it down. You're not going to do this if you're recording only 1 or 2 videos. It's too much trouble, okay? There's a significant investment in equipment. It's about $1,000 is what I would guess to do it right. The video lights and the power supply is about $500 to $600. The light stands that hold up the video lights are about $100. You need a wireless microphone. Remember, you want to have good sound, and you're not standing right near the video camera. You're probably standing about 6 feet away. You want to have good sound, you need a wireless mic, anywhere from $150 to $400. You need to put your video camera on a tripod, anywhere from $50 to $100. A video camera could be anywhere from $250 to $1,500 or more. I might also suggest that you're going to need to buy a video camera that has a remote controller. The absolute bottom of the barrel, lowest end video cameras may not have a remote controller. You might have to buy a video camera that's maybe the first one is $150 and it doesn't have a remote controller. Maybe you have to spend $200, $250, $300 so that you have the remote controller. And the reason that you want the remote controller is after you get everything set up and you're standing in front of the camera where you're supposed to stand, you can start and stop the video and you don't have to move. So having a remote controller is really a big deal. You need an SD card, which is probably the cheapest thing, which is about $10 to record the video on. Then you need a computer to put the video, to take the SD card and put the video on your computer. That's the hard way. Let's look. This is high-tech graphics, okay? This is, I just hand wrote this. This is what I call video production the hard way. Let's see if you can see my cursor. Right here is the video camera, okay? The video camera is on a tripod. It's got a wireless mic as a receiver. The video camera is pointed at you right here, the subject. The video camera has a screen monitor, a monitor screen, and you basically flip it over so it's not facing backwards, it's facing forwards, so you can see yourself. You can see if you're framed up or not properly. Here's a video light to the left. Here's a video light to the right. Both of those, we call that a crisscross lighting pattern. You can see it's basically right here between you and the camera is 90 degrees. Over here is 45 degrees and 45 degrees. And you want to have the same power output. And if you do that correctly, you should be well lit. You should have even lighting on the left and the right side of your face, okay? Here you are at subject. You're the subject. You're the one doing the recordings. And notice I've got a couple of lines here on the ground. I call that your mark. Okay, I don't know what the technical term is, but you put either a pencil or a piece of tape. And once you get yourself set up, that's your mark. So if you ever move away, you come back and stand at your mark. And what that means is you're basically well composed, well exposed at that point. You're in the middle of the frame. You're not too far away from the camera. You're not too close to the camera. Your head's not getting cut off, okay? There you see the little guy has got a remote controller in his hand. Once you get everything set up, you press the remote controller, you start recording, you say your piece, you turn off the remote controller, you look down at your list of questions, you think for a second, what am I going to talk about? And then you get ready and you push the remote controller again. And that's the way you do it. This is a very good way of doing it. It's just not my preferred way right now because I've got an easier way, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. You can absolutely do this. I think that at a minimum, you need these lights and you need the camera set up just this way. Jake, is there any questions at this time?
Nope, you're good to go.
Okay, keep going. Okay, so that's the 3 ways of video production the hard way. Let's talk about the easy way. This is my preferred method now. And what it's the easiest to set up. It's the easiest to do. And of course, it's the cheapest as well. But you need a webcam. I use a Logitech C920. Okay, these are out. The thing about the easy way, it's pretty much always set up. So there's no setup time. So anytime I want to record a video, down and record the video. I typically don't do it that way, but if a client calls me up with a question and I go, oh, that would be an interesting topic for a video, I'll sit down and do the video. But typically I do them at one time. You need a small video light, and the small video light is around $40 or thereabouts. You need Logitech Capture software. That's free. And my good friend Jake Adams told me about that. Since I have a Logitech camera, the Logitech Capture software goes on your computer. It's free. Can't get cheaper than that. And there might be better software, but it works really well and it's free. You push a button, that's it. Microphone is optional. The Logitech C920 has a microphone built in. I choose, because the office that I'm in, I don't have a lot of pictures on the wall, and it doesn't sound so great. It sounds a little bit hollow. And remember, I talked about the fact that in my humble opinion, you need to have good sound. So I want it to sound as good as it possibly can. So I use a microphone. I use a Blue Yeti. And then, of course, you need to have your computer, because the webcam is connected to your computer, as is the Logitech Capture software. Okay, so that's the easy way. And then when you're ready to go, you push the button. You push the red button at the bottom. And what happens is you'll see a countdown. I prefer the countdown. You don't have to have the countdown, but you'll see 3, 2, 1, and then it starts recording. Okay, so that's the way that works. Let me show you some pictures. There's the Logitech C920. There's the video light that I talked about. The video light is maybe the size of two of your hands. It's not very big. It's only about $40 or thereabouts. Notice it's notice it's on a light stand and it's behind my monitor. So it's always there. When I'm ready to record videos, I just stand up and there's a little switch and I just turn it on. It actually does have a battery. So if I want it to be mobile, I can move it around. I choose just to have it plugged in all the time, so I don't have to worry about if the battery's charged or not. That's one less thing to worry about. So it's just always in place. And when I'm ready to use it, I just turn it on. Okay. These are a couple of photographs of my Blue Yeti microphone. On the left is the microphone as it is. It's on a little stand that's just sitting there. I also bought a little, I think they call them a pop screen. It goes in front of the microphone just so it takes away some of the pops, some of the P sounds. Don't know if I need it or not, but it was only like $12, so it looks pretty cool too. Okay. There is a view of the screen capture software. At the top, you can see the Logitech camera. At the bottom, you can see the little red button. So all you got to do is push the red button with your mouse. And then on the screen up here, it'll say 3, 2, 1, and it will start recording. And then what will happen is you'll get a little timer that's about right here. So it's actually not, I don't know if it's a time, it counts up, it does not count down. So it starts at 0 and it counts up. And I try to make my videos around 2 minutes or thereabouts, and I'll tell you why in a little while. One of the things I've also started doing is right over here right next to the camera, I take my phone and I turn on a clock on there, and it basically does the same. It actually does a countdown from 1:45 because I want my videos to be 2 minutes or less. And I do that and have the counter there, you see on the right of the camera, because by the way, when you're doing the recording, you have to look straight here into the camera. Okay. It's kind of weird looking into the camera, but you don't watch yourself on the screen or else it will look kind of funny because you're not looking at the camera in the playback. So I have my phone and I'm always keeping track of the time. The reason I'm putting it up here is because there's a counter down here at the bottom where the red button is. And if I want to know where I am in terms of time, I don't want my focus to go from the camera down here to the bottom, because you can totally see that because you're so close to the camera. If I was 6 feet away and I looked a little below the camera, you would not be able to tell that that was happening. But I just think it's not good form to not look at the camera. So that's one way in which I can keep track of myself on the time. Okay. That is what you call me in action. Okay. So you can see I'm sitting in my chair, looking in front. There's my computer monitor. There's the webcam. There's the light. Push the button, start talking, finished, stop talking, push the button, and it stops. And that is my setup. To me, that's a lot easier than what I'm calling the hard way. Okay. Now, there's a really easy way. Everybody, probably in America, in the world almost, certainly everybody, the tax savings team owns a cell phone. You can pull out your cell phone at any time and record video. There's no setup required. Everyone already has the phone, and most people, the phones that they have are fine enough quality to produce a good enough video, assuming that you're well composed, you're well exposed, you've got the right lighting, and then of course you have to have good sound. That doesn't change. Those are the basics, okay? But you're going to get a high quality video. It's possible to even edit on the phone. If you have a Apple operating system, you actually can edit in iMovie. I choose not to do that. You can actually, there's some options if you want to get stable images. You can even, remember we talked about the images should be stable. You don't want it kind of jerky. That doesn't look really, really good. One of the ways in which you can do that is you can use a tripod. They have small tripods that are I mean, you could use a large tripod, I guess, but most of the tripods I'm thinking of, they're like tabletop size. They're relatively small. And you can also use a gimbal. I actually own a gimbal. I've used it a little bit, I'm going to probably do more of it. I've got a friend and mentor of mine that is using a gimbal where he's walking through the neighborhood. He's walking around. You put your phone on a gimbal. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, but it's a stabilizer. It's got like 3 gyroscopes in there. So it keeps your image stable. So that's a gimbal. Okay, there is a gimbal. On the left-hand side, I'm just holding the gimbal. That's what it looks like. I've got an Apple 8 Plus, I believe it is. This gimbal I'd have to think of the name of it. I don't know if I put it in here. The gimbal, it's rechargeable. You put the phone in it. You can see the phone slides in here. Most of the gimbals out there, though, they're limited to the size of the phone that it can handle. In my instance, I actually have to take my iPhone out of the case. I'm using a big OtterBox for protection purposes, and it just won't fit in the gimbal. So I have to take it out, and that's what I have to do. That's the gimbal in action right there. So I had a friend of mine take a photo of me over my shoulder. Okay, there's a gimbal. There's a close-up picture of the gimbal, and I actually have a small tripod. And this little tripod costs about, I don't know, $10 or $12, and it screws into the bottom of the gimbal. There's like a little socket. There's a little screwed in socket thing. If I'm shooting in the office, I typically will put it on the tripod. Not that I would use it, I might hold it. But the thing is, it's just easy when you're finished using it. You can just put it down like you see it. Other than that, without the tripod, you'd kind of have to lay it down flat, and it's kind of wonky. There's also a larger tripod, which is still not that big, as you can see. It's only not even 12 inches as extended, but that's another way in which you can use the gimbal. There also are other attachments that you can get that are not as expensive as a gimbal. You probably can get those for $10 to $15. They're just made out of plastic, and they hold your phone, and they would have a socket, a place for the tripod, or there'd be a tripod, a hole in the bottom. You can do that if you didn't want to have a gimbal. Okay. So now we're going to talk about content. What are we going to talk? Now, I just spent a lot of time showing you the technical aspects of recording videos. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about. This is what we would call the content portion.
Hey, Gary. Hey, Larry.
Yes.
Hey, 2 quick questions on there. The lighting.
Yes.
You didn't really kind of cover the LED lighting or what kind of lighting you use. Could you take 2 or 3 minutes and talk about that?
Yes. Let's see. I talk about it at the back at the resources, but let's talk about. Let me back up here.
Okay, that's fine. If you have resources in the back.
I got it resources in the back, but that little light there, like I said, it's about the size of it's about twice the size of your hands. I think, what are they calling those? Those are LED. Those are LCD lights. Okay. They've got like these little tiny dots in there, and there's about 100 or so of them in there. It costs in the neighborhood of $40 to $50. Okay. And as you can see, I don't have it. It's not that big a deal. I don't have it on full power. And I also don't have it for 2 reasons. I don't have it directly behind my monitor. I've got a little bit of problem with space, but I don't want it like flat on me. Okay. I like it from the side a little bit, and it's not putting out enough light that it's creating too much contrast, i.e. one side of my face is really light and it throws the other side of my face into darkness, shadow. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I do. I think I found the resource on Amazon. I think that those little light stands, when they they're like 2 for $20 or something. I mean, I didn't look real hard because I bought it some time back, but it's about $20. Does that answer your question? I don't know.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then since we're on the slide, as far as the positioning of the lights and the camera,
yes,
is that really specific, or is it just kind of like wherever it fits on your monitor?
I've only got so much space where I sit. I mean, you can see where my left arm is. To the left of my left arm, my desk is like an L. Okay. So it comes out away from the camera and the light. You see what I'm talking about? So it's kind of like an L. So I really can't go over too far to the left, and I've got a credenza on the other side. I can't really go too far to the right. I mean, I'm landlocked in a way. I don't have that much space. So to answer your question, I put my chair in a comfortable position where I normally would sit, and I basically put the camera so that it's kind of in the middle. It's right where I am. So that way I'm looking straight into the camera. I'm not looking to the left. I'm not looking to the right. And then I think I just answered the question about the video light. I guess you probably, if you had space, you could have it directly behind the camera. I think you would probably be okay because the light's not that strong. But it's my preference, because I have a background in photography. It's my preference to have it off to the side just a little bit. Like I said, that part's not that big a deal. But yeah, you just got to be in front of the camera, long story short. And also, I have the monitor set up such that the camera, this is an important point, I guess. The camera is at eye level. Pretty much I'm looking straight into the camera, okay? The camera is not too low or the camera's not too high. If the camera is too high and you have to jack your head up, then it looks really weird, and like the picture's kind of taking a picture up your nose. It's kind of ugly. You know what I'm saying? But by the same, and I'm not trying to be rude, but that's the fact. Then by the same turn of a coin, if the camera position is too low, then you're looking down at the camera, and that also looks kind of queer. So that's a good point. Thank you for asking the question. You want to look straight into the camera. And that is the case whether you're doing it this way or whether you're doing it what I call the harder way, when you're set up and the camera is on a tripod and you're standing 5 or 6 feet away. You want it to be at eye level. You don't want to be looking down into the camera. You don't want to be looking up into the camera. You want the camera to be at eye level. That is a very important point. I'll probably go back and change this to make that point, because that is a very big deal.
Cool. Yeah, personal preference. I like my camera a little bit above eye level, just because I feel like my face is more toned and directed when I'm looking at the camera with it raised up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So tell me again, you like the camera low or high?
It's really just the double chin. I get self-conscious about the way I look and the way my face looks.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I have a strong background in photography. Tell me again, you like the camera high or low?
So I like the camera a little bit above eye level.
Okay, that would stretch out the double chins. Good answer. Okay. Good answer. So that helps with that.
Yeah.
I call it doing the turtle. If you're just standing there, if you extend your chin out just a little bit, it kind of makes that double chin go away a little bit, regardless of if the camera's high or low. Think about that.
Yep.
You jut your jaw out a little bit. It feels a little bit queer, but it looks much better. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Any other questions while we're there?
Nope, that's good.
Okay, so at the end of the day, we're going to be talking, because we're all on the tax savings team, we're going to be talking all things tax related. Okay, so basically, you're answering questions that your ideal clients already have. Okay, I would lump them into two main categories: the FAQs, what everyone should know, the frequently asked questions, the questions that you hear asked all the time, and then you should also answer questions, what I call the SAQs. SAQs are questions that your prospective clients would ask if they only knew enough about your topic. If they knew more about your topic, they would ask the question, but you don't know what you don't know. You understand that. So they don't even know to ask that question. But it's like, you know what? If you were an informed client of mine, you would be asking me these questions because other people ask me these questions, but you don't even know enough to ask. So I'm going to ask them for you. I'm going to answer these for you. Does that make sense, Jake? The SAQs, the questions they should ask if they even knew enough to ask. It could be questions that you recently received from clients. It could be information that you want them to know. Here's a couple of things. I did a video that tax planning is not free. If you're not paying for tax planning, guess what, brother? You're not getting tax planning, okay? Because having fully depreciated Fred come in there and say, oh, do an IRA, let's be honest, that's not tax planning. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of time, effort, energy. And if you're not paying for it, if we are not being compensated for it, we're not doing tax planning. I wanted to make that as a very big point. So that's one of the videos that I did. Other information. One of the questions that I hear all the time from people when they talk about, doing videos, should they script or should they not script? That's the question, right? I don't script. The reason that I don't script is, to me, it kind of defeats the purpose. It takes way too much time to script it out. And I know that there are some people that do it, and God bless them if that works for them. I was in a mastermind group once with a guy, and he had another group. I watched, he put on like a 1-hour presentation, and he scripted that damn thing word for word for word for a full hour. That works for him. That doesn't work for me. And you know why? Couple of things. One, I'm only recording a 2 or 2.5 minute video. I already know my subject matter. And I hope that everybody that's recording the videos feels like they know their subject matter also. At the end of the day, it's too much time. It's too much complexity to type out the script. And then if I typed out the script, I couldn't sit there and read the script. That would look kind of queer. I would probably have to install a teleprompter like what they use on television. The news guys on television, they're reading it off a script. They're reading off a teleprompter. So whereby it's a mechanism whereby the script kind of rolls in front of the camera. So the camera doesn't see it, but they're looking right into the camera, reading the script. So I personally do not script. If you do, it adds a whole nother level of complexity. Okay. Other information. Here's one of the big takeaways, whether you're doing it what I call the hard way, where there's the whole setup with the video lights on the light stand and the crisscross lighting, and it takes half an hour to set it up. And I guess the other thing I didn't say is that once you think you've got it right, you go and shoot a test video to make sure you're not cutting your head off or that there's not too much headspace. I didn't talk about that, but that's an important thing to know. So it takes a little bit of time. But the important thing is, however you do it, in my humble opinion, it's best to have a list of questions prepared before you start recording. Okay. And the reason for that is once you're already set up and okay, I'm patting myself on the back. I'm excited. I did my first video. Okay. Now what am I going to talk about? And you got to think and you got to think, and it's not very efficient. And are you going to be particularly productive, or shall we say creative at that time to come up with a topic that you want to talk about, or maybe that you should talk about? So before recording, and by the way, going back to the list of questions, I probably now have 100 to 150 questions that I've come up with, and I've recorded some of them now, and I'm always taking the time periodically to add to my list of questions that I want to answer. But now that I'm recording, I decide I'm going to make a recording and I'm going to say, what is the difference between tax planning and tax preparation? For example, okay, before I start recording, I'm not just going to push the button and start talking. I'm going to make a mental note of the few points that I want to make, 2, 3, 4 points I want to make. Remember, we're only talking for 2.5 minutes. So make a note of the points that you want to make. I guess if you really wanted to, you could take a yellow sticky and put it up underneath the webcam monitor. It's not the same thing as a teleprompter, but you can kind of look down at the notes of the 3 or 4 points that you want to make. But remember, you're only talking for 2.5 minutes, okay? I personally record a minimum of 10 videos at a time, and that usually takes me about an hour or so. Now, just so you know, it's not on here. I probably should put that on here. The first, yeah, I do have it. I do have, I'm going to get to it in a second. The bottom line is the first video that you do of the day, it's not going to be your first video of the day, because even if you've done it a lot, you know, it's not a natural thing. You feel a little bit uneasy or whatever. So the first video is not the best of the day. The 10th video is better than the first video. The 20th video is better than the 10th video. Okay. I typically do 10 at a time. They take about 2 minutes to go, to go 2 to 2.5 minutes. And then what I want to make the point, for me anyway, I'm doing 2.5 minute videos. I record my videos in one take. What that means is there's no starting and stopping. If it was a 5-minute video or a 10-minute video, one of my mentors, I've seen him do this, where he'll be talking for a minute and then he'll flub, he'll mess up, he'll stop, he'll keep the camera running, he'll stop, he'll compose himself, and then he'll back up a little bit and he'll keep talking. And hopefully he'll get to the end. And if he doesn't, he'll do the same thing again. He keeps the camera rolling and it's all corrected in post-production. So somehow there will be some transition, so that'll transition between one section of the video to the other section of the video. Now the screen might flip in top to bottom, left to right. It'll look like a transition, and you probably would not even know that he did that as a part of the video editing. I personally don't do that. I record them in one take. Now, I'm not saying that every single time I do it, I'm perfect. There's a few occasions where I mess up and I'll be 15 seconds, 30 seconds into it, maybe 45 seconds into it. I might lose my train of thought. I might stumble over my words. I might forget what I'm talking about. And I kind of go, I stop it and I start over. It's not that big a deal. Remember, it's not a 5 or 10 minute video. I can get it in one take. And I work really hard. I mean, it's kind of outside the scope of what we're talking about. I think everybody, if they're going to do this, they would be very well served by going through the Toastmaster program to make you a better speaker. One of my personal pet peeves is someone that does a lot of, in Toastmasters, what's called ahs or ums or you knows or and. So I try not to have too many of those. Hopefully you didn't hear too many of them today, but I try not to have them in my videos also. Occasionally does a or slip in? Yeah, of course it does, but it's not, it's not that much. It's not that big a deal. So I do it in one take. That makes it easier and cheaper to get the videos edited, in my opinion. Other information, I'm just said, be careful of crutch words, ahs, ums, and well, basically what we're talking about, you know what I'm talking about? Try not to do that. It doesn't really look professional. Try to get those out of your speech. And I'm not even talking about just in videos. I think when you're talking to prospective clients, whoever, I think the best you can get that out of your speech, the better speaker you'll be and the more professional you'll be. That I can get on a whole subject about that. Toastmasters. When I was doing it the hard way, when I showed the big lighting setup, my maximum in one day was 25. By the end of the day, I wasn't physically shot, but I was mentally shot. So that's why I like the easy way, because I can do 10 at a time. I could do 5 at a time. Okay. I talked about your first video is not the best video of the day. Relax and enjoy. Your mistakes will be edited out. Nobody will know but you. Other information. If recording numerous videos, bring multiple changes of clothes / tops, okay? At the end of the day, game shows, I don't know if you're aware of this, but game shows, they usually produce 3 or 4 Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or whatever. They typically produce 3 or 4 shows in a day. So what happens is that the host changes clothes between games. So it looks like they did them on 4 different days, okay? I'll back that up a little bit. For me, for example, if I do 10 videos, I'll have a shirt that I'm wearing and I'll have 2 other shirts. So I'll change up every 3 or 4 videos so that it looks like all of my videos have different shirts on them. And I have a lot of different colored shirts. I would say turn off all distractions, which I did before we started this presentation today. The phone has to be off the hook so it doesn't start ringing, or else you pretty much have to start over. I would take it in another room. And I take it off the hook and I put it in another room so you don't hear it beeping or whatever. Put your cell phone on silent or in another room so you don't get distracted. It's not professional for that to go off on your video. You have to edit it out or start over. Or even if you don't edit it out, it's quite distracting. You want to make sure that your web browser is closed and that your email program is closed, because you don't want any chiming devices. You don't want a Facebook Messenger came through or an email came through. So you don't want to be distracted. Let's talk about the elements of a finished video. Now that we've recorded the video, how do we want this video to look? Here's the way I do it. My way is not the only way. I think it's a decent way. To begin with, there's an intro or title slide. That changes with every video. For my purposes, it's going to be the title of my video is going to be the intro slide. There could be intro music, which is optional. You could have like 3 or 5 seconds of video, and that could be playing at the same time as your intro slide is up on the screen. By the way, I usually put that up there for 3 or 4 minutes, 3 or 4 seconds, excuse me. Then there's going to be the video of you talking for 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you want to do. Then you're going to have the lower thirds. You're going to have, in my case, I think I put, you could put either your name, your email address, your website, your phone number. The lower thirds, you've probably seen that all the time on television. The newscasters have it will have like their name, and it'll have the logo of the television station. That's the lower thirds. I think that's a good idea to have that, is the lower thirds. And something else I didn't put in here. One of the things I also think is a good idea, and see, I didn't even take my own advice because my phone is off the hook, but it's in here in the room and it's starting to make a bunch of sounds. One of the things also that you want to do is you want to have captions on your video. You can go to rev.com and have the captions done of the video for $1 a minute. I'll talk about that in a second. That's one of my resources. But the bottom line is a lot of people are listening to video, and they're listening to video, and when the default is on silent. So if it's on silent, they can't hear what you're saying. But if the captions come up on the screen, of course, they can read what you're saying, and it's synchronized to your voice. Okay, so that's the lower thirds in the captions. I need to go back and add that. There's outro music. That's optional. That can play at the same time as your outro slide. The outro slide is static. Okay, unlike the intro slide, whereby the intro slide is going to change because it's got the title of every video, the outro slide is static. It does not change. The outro slide is going to have, for further information, contact Larry at this phone number, at this website, at this email address. Hold on one second. Hold on. I didn't take my own medicine. I had the phone off the hook, but it started chiming, so I got tired of listening to it. So the outro slide is your contact information, and that's going to be the same on every single slide. For further information, contact Larry, this phone number, this address. Could be another call to action. Go to this website and request this book, request this special report, whatever. That's an outro slide. And there it is. For further information, contact, call to action, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So nice grammar there, Larry. How I'm using videos, okay? After the videos are produced, you can post the videos to YouTube. You can put them on Facebook. You can either put them on your personal page or you can put them on your business page. I just found out I just started posting to Facebook, and I found out that unless somebody likes your business page, they're not going to see your posts. Okay. So you have to get people to like your business page if you're going to post them up to Facebook. You can post them up to LinkedIn. I've been posting a lot of videos up to LinkedIn. If you have the caption file and you get the videos edited the way I'm talking about, you just need to load them up to LinkedIn. And by the way, Facebook and LinkedIn, when you post up videos, they like you to post up the videos natively, which means they like you to upload them to Facebook. They like you to upload them to LinkedIn. Obviously, you have to upload them to YouTube. The point being is Facebook and LinkedIn, the preference is that you load the video up to their platform. They do not want to see an embed code that basically takes the viewer off of the Facebook or LinkedIn platform to YouTube. That's not what they want. They want them to stay on those platforms. You can put them on your website with transcriptions included. You can use them in articles and blog posts as far as the transcriptions goes. You can repurpose it. There's a resource called Missing Letter if you want to repurpose it. So remember I said earlier on, this is a very easy way for me to create content, is to record the videos, because it's very easy for me to sit there and talk for 2 minutes as opposed to writing an article. To me, it's painful to write an article, but it's very easy to speak, and basically I am transcribing this information. I guess, I don't know when's a good time to talk about this, but what you do is you open up an account with rev.com. You upload the video to rev.com. You do not have to strip off the audio. You upload the entire video to rev.com. That's rev.com. My suggestion would be, there's a resource, I think it's on the resource list, that you want to compress the video, because when you record these videos, they're going to be like 80 megabytes. They're pretty big, and that means it takes a long time for it to upload, and then it's going to take a long time for it to download to rev.com. I get them down to about 8 megabytes instead of 80 megabytes, and that loads up a lot quicker. The thing of note, when you're using rev.com, you don't want the transcription. There's a service that you can get the transcription. Both of them are $1 a minute, but what you're asking for is the caption file. So you're asking for the caption file, and basically that's a transcription, but it's got a timestamp on it, okay? So at the end of the day, the caption file, as you talk, the words come up on the screen. So that's done automatically for you, okay? So you're going to order the caption file from rev.com, and at the end of the day, you're going to download what's known as an SRT file, Sam, Randy, Tom, SRT file. That is going to be the file that you include in your edited video. That's the caption file. While you're at it, for the same price, you can actually download a text file. The text file is going to be a transcription file that you can use to import it into Word, make articles, blog posts, whatever it is that you want to do, for the same $1 a minute. Okay. It's $1 a minute. I told you I like to do 2-minute videos. A 1 minute 59 video, a 2-minute video costs you $2. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but a 2-minute 1-second video costs you $3. So my preference is, if I'm doing a lot of videos, I try to keep it at 2 minutes. Do I go over? Yeah. And it's $1, and I'm still alive. I'm still standing. Okay. But it's just, if you're doing 10 of them, that's $10. And that kind of does start to add up. So that's kind of one of the things I do. Jake, is there any comments, questions?
Yeah, we're talking about transcription and transcribing. There, rev.com has a sister site, Temi, Temi, which does it for only 10 cents a minute.
Yeah, but I don't think they make transcriptions. They don't make SRT files.
Yeah, you can get SRT from them.
Oh, I can check that out. Okay, 10 cents is cheaper, but I've got a friend of mine that he's used that before. He says, don't bother. He said, because it's automated. It's all voice recognition. His experience, and maybe it's the way he talks. his experience was it's not worth 10 cents. It's not even worth 10 cents. That's what he told me. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I might check it out because, hey, 90 cents a minute is 90 cents a minute. But yeah, I've heard of Timmy. I've heard of it.
Yeah, and honestly, for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, just go for the $2 or $3 because then you know it's done right.
That's correct.
But if you're doing like a 90 or a 60 or 90 minute webinar, you're probably not like, oh, I don't want 60 to 90 bucks to get it through Rev. So yeah, so Temmie's good. There's another program that I use. It's Otter, Otter.ai, I think it is.
I've heard of Otter. I got to try that out. That's also that's not human transcription, I don't think.
It's not. No, it's all automated. And then also YouTube will do free closed captioning for you as well.
I've heard of people uploading to YouTube and then going somehow downloading the transcription file. It's more trouble than, to me, it's more trouble than it's worth. To each his own, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And again, I think it depends on the length of the video and how long you're paying for and what you're getting. But yeah, either the Otter, the Temmie, or the YouTube, they're all based around the same platform and program that's using the computer to try to figure out what you're saying. Where Rev.com is the only one that's actually going to have a live person that's familiar with transcriptioning services actually go through and do it.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but it is timestamped. So when you're talking, what you're saying on the screen, what you're saying from your mouth on the video, it's coming up on the screen, those same letters. So to me, it's not worth talking about. I guess the other thing I didn't talk about is I do not do video editing myself. I found a guy, I found him originally through Fiverr. I think it was Dawn that turned me on to him. I think you used him for the July 4th video, Jake.
Yep.
So anyway, I do business with him, and I've started doing business like off. I haven't sent anything like off of Fiverr, but they take a pretty nice slice of the pie. I didn't recognize that. And he asked me if, I'm not going to use his name publicly, but it's in the resources. If you want to reach out to him, I'm sure he'd do a good job for you, and he'd be appreciative of the work. He turns it. I give him 10 videos, and he turns them around in a day or two, and he edits it. He changes the intro slide. He puts in the lower thirds. He puts in my video. He puts in the caption file. And of course, the outro slide never changes, okay? So my 2-minute videos or whatever, he does 10 at a time. And I don't edit them. I could edit them, but it's not worth my time to edit them. I want to be making a lot of money, and I can't make a lot of money editing videos. That's a low dollar. I don't know, a low dollar task, shall we say? Okay. So,
yeah, I think that's important to note is that, when you're editing your own videos, you could be there, oh, I said, and I want to take that part out. And you could be there for an hour trying to edit a 2-minute long video. So
even if you leave it in there, okay, I know for a fact because I actually was using Sony Vegas sometime back when I was doing videos the hard way, right? Here's the bottom line. I was using Sony Vegas. I had a really cool little template set up. So I would have to change the title slide. I would have to move things around a little bit. I'd have to move the lower thirds. Now I'd have to drop in the SRT file. I have to move the outro slide so it's at the end. You know what I'm saying? It literally took me 2 minutes to move stuff around and do the true video quote editing, okay? But then it took anywhere from 5 to 8 to possibly 10 minutes for it to render out into an MP4. While it was doing that, I couldn't do anything else. You kind of had to sit there and watch. So call it 10 minutes, okay? Yeah, I guess you could get somebody in-house to do it if you wanted to, but this guy charges between $5 and $10 a video. It depends on your quantity and everything. Depends on the length. Mine are really easy for him to do because he doesn't really, other than what I already discussed, he doesn't have to take out my ahs and my ums and my starting over, he just drops it in and he's good to go. He's probably pretty happy with my videos, the way it goes. Long story short, this, to me anyway, this is a very easy way to create content, excuse me. Video is an easy way to create content because you're speaking rather than writing. And that, to me, that's a lot easier. Okay. So I kind of threw these statistics up there again. I mean, at the end of the day, video is it right now. Video is easy to do. You get some good bang for your buck on SEO, although I'm not so convinced on the SEO side. I don't know if people are going to be typing in how to save money on my taxes. I'm not so sure a lot of people are doing that. But when they put your name in and they see you come up because this video is getting found by Google now and you're all over the place, it's not a bad thing. And it's not a bad thing to get the exposure on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So it builds up the know, like, and trust factor. Before the prospect even meets you, you're everywhere. There's omnipresence. You post it on your website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. Now, I basically put together a tools and equipment list used to produce videos. I'll post this up as a separate document, Jake, but if I can run through this real quick, we got just a couple of minutes. I'll just spin through this. It won't take but a minute. We got time?
Yeah, whatever we want.
Okay. For lack of a better word, starting at the top, doing it what I call the harder way, the big boy video lights. And remember I said that the video lights that I'm using has about 100 of the little LCD lights. These have about 500, 550, okay? They're bigger panel. They're $249 each. You need 2 of them. That's $500. The light stand that's a lightweight stand. There's probably a better than average light stand, but it's $57. You can probably get them cheaper. I wanted them light so that they pack away for travel easy, blah, blah, blah. $57 on Amazon. And I'm showing you the links. The wireless lapel mic, you can spend anywhere from a lot. I mean, you can get a Sennheiser that's probably $700. I use an Asden. This is the brand that I use, and you can get them for about $159 for the pair. And I call the pair the transmitter, which is what you wear on your person with the little microphone that you put on your lapel. And then you put a receiver back at the camera, and it has to be plugged in because it's recording the voice. Okay. The Easy LED video light is $41. Okay. And I gave you the link on that. That's $41. There's the link. The LED light stand, I found it. The one that I bought, I think, I only remember buying one of them, but it was $20 for 2. So you might be able to find on Amazon one of them for $10. The webcam, I just saw it recently on Amazon. It's $58. The recording software for Logitech, that's free. The Blue Yeti microphone that I use is like $90 or thereabouts, $85, $90. The windscreen is $12. The software video compressor is, I wasn't quite sure looking on their website because I've had it for a long time, but I think that you should use that to compress your videos. And I think at the end of the day, when I get my files back from the guy that does the video editing, they're big files again because he edited them and he doesn't compress them back down. So I take them back down to about 7 to 10 megabytes, say, okay? Because I don't want to load up that kind of file on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. They may very well compress them, but I'm not quite sure how that happens. Caption files, $1 a minute. We already talked about that. Go to rev.com, order the caption file, not the transcription file. Okay, that's important because if you're going to do this for video, you want to have the caption file that synchronizes up with your video. So you want the caption, not the transcription file. And when it's complete, when you go to download it, there's like 10 different ways you can download it. And I don't know what some of those ways are, what those files are. I download the SRT file, which is the caption file. I download the text file so I could use it for other things. I believe as long as the video is up on rev.com, you can probably go back and re-download it, but I just do it all at one time. And I've got like a little system of doing that. So I keep control of everything. Okay, for video editing, that's the guy. If you wanted to contact him directly, use my name. I don't get anything off of it. Just trying to help out a brother. He's a good guy. On TubeBuddy, this is some software I just started using on YouTube. There's 4 levels. And Jake, I put, if you don't want that, I'll take that off. But that's an affiliate link for me. But here's the bottom line. It's really, really cool software. It's TubeBuddy.com. There's 4 levels. The first level is free. Of course, as you progress up, you get more and more features. There's a $9 a month, there's a $19 a month, and there's a $49 a month, okay? I use the $19 a month. I don't see I would be using all of the features of the $49 a month. You get like a 25% discount. I think it's like $15 a month if you pay annually, which is what I did, okay? And for $19 a month, it's interesting. The $9 a month, shortly after I signed up for my free account, TubeBuddy has sent me a number of emails to say, hey, if you want to upgrade from the free level to the $9 level, you can get lifetime for only like 50 or 60 bucks, lifetime. And I'm looking at that going, but I don't want the $9. I want the $19. Would you put $19 on lifetime? And they said, no, we don't do that. I said, okay, well, I just basically bought it for the year. It's really cool software. Right now, I have 40 videos up as it relates to tax planning. I'm probably going to try to do 10 a week for a while until I get a few hundred up there. At the end of the day, when you get that many videos up on YouTube, it becomes kind of hard to manage. So this helps you pick out keywords. It helps you put them in playlists. It basically helps you to optimize, okay? It suggests keywords. It's really cool software. I honestly have only begun to scratch the surface. One of the cool things that I did, it lets you create what's called a thumbnail file. The thumbnail is what the video looks like when people are searching, okay? Do I want a thumbnail of my face talking, or do I want a thumbnail of the opening slide, the intro slide? I want the thumbnail of the intro slide, not me talking. That's a personal preference, okay? Well, normally to do that in YouTube, you actually got to go in somehow and do a screen capture, or you've got to make a JPEG in Photoshop and upload it. It's a pain in the butt. I went through yesterday on 40 videos, and I put the thumbnail slide to be the first couple of seconds of my video. So now it's doesn't have my face anymore. It's got the opening slide. There's so much you can do with TubeBuddy. And if you're going to be doing this, and especially using YouTube, which is kind of the de facto place for you to put your videos, you probably need to be using TubeBuddy. There's another one called vidIQ. It probably is equally good. It maybe is the same price, maybe a little bit more expensive. I thought TubeBuddy was pretty cool. I think TubeBuddy's pretty cool. So next, here we are, questions and answers. Does anybody have any questions while you have me on the phone right now? I'm trying to tell you everything I know, guys. I'm not intentionally holding anything back. So if there's something that I didn't cover, let me know now if you have any questions. Any questions, Jake?
All right, we got one question from Dawn about using a remote with a camera versus not being able to use a remote with a webcam.
The webcam, okay, we're talking about two different things, Dawn. When I talk about the hard way, that's where the camera's on a tripod. We got the two light setup, crisscross lighting, and I'm standing 5 or 6 feet away from the camera, okay? That's when I think it's a good idea to have a remote controller. Other than that, what happens if you don't have a remote controller, you're standing at position away from the camera, okay? What happens is you've got to walk up to the camera, you got to press start, record, you got to walk back to the camera, you got to start talking. When you're finished talking, you wait for a second, then you got to go and walk back to the camera and push stop. And it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt, as you can hear the way I just described it, but it's harder to edit because now you've got to edit out the first 10 seconds and the last 10 seconds. That's why you need a remote controller. So you just stand there, push the button, start talking, push the button, stop talking, which is exactly what you do when you're doing it the easy way that I described using the webcam. You follow?
Yep, I think that makes sense.
Unmute her. Can she talk?
She's not on right now.
Okay.
All right, cool. And then Someone mentioned if you could put up the resource list inside the
I'll put that up. I'll put that up as a PDF.
perfect. Cool. And then I noticed that the webcam, the C2,
C920.
yep, it's now a pro version, so it's the C920S.
I'm happy with what I got. You know, I'm an equipment junkie, so don't tell me about that or I'll go buy that damn thing. How much does it cost?
It looks like it's either cheaper or just a little bit more depending on where you get it. But it looks like they've discontinued the C920 and now this is just like a pro version.
I don't know. I went on Amazon within the last couple of days and I found it and I put the link in there. So
Okay, cool.
but maybe there was a C920X. Remember I talked about SAQs. I didn't even know to ask if there was an upgrade. I just found mine. So maybe they have both of them at this point.
Yeah. I just just me loving Amazon, I just jumped on there and saw that was the Prime version. Looks like it's got the privacy shutter and all that stuff that comes with it. So yeah,
Cool.
cool.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for having me on. I hope my friends and colleagues on the tax savings team can use video for their own purposes. In my humble opinion, it's a hell of a lot easier than writing out articles and blog posts. The way I've done it, man, I push the button and I talk for 2 minutes and I get on to the next one. The other thing, very important, have a list of topics that you want to talk about before you get started. Because when you get in front of the camera and the lights are on, your brain freezes up, and it's just so much easier to sit down with a list of topics and just go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you're finished. That's just the way I do it. And I could do one a day if I wanted to, but even then, even though it's a pretty easy setup, it's too hard. I want to do it like I'll do it on a Thursday or Friday, and I'll knock 10 of them out in an hour, maybe hour and 15, something like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And just like you said, is as you do a couple, you get better at it. So if you do one a day, it's there's some.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Hello. Look, sorry. That's my software company, my tax software company calling me back. Okay.
All right.
We can delete that out.
Well, Larry, this was awesome. Thank you so much for everything. And I definitely think we should have a follow-up on this as like what to do with the video once we've done it. So,
and honestly, that's still a work in process for me. I'm in the early stages of learning to do TubeBuddy and to optimize it and put it out. But I'm telling you, I've already gotten, I've got a really nice client that came in to me from LinkedIn who says, man, I saw you everywhere. It's like, yes, you did. So, and he's going to pay me lots of money. So it works,
Nice.
So.
All right. Well, Larry, thanks so much. We'll see you on the next video.
Okay. Hopefully this got recorded, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.